Fresh conscripts have arrived.
Okay, welcome to a 1v1 on Samoski Winter. This game is going to be Ihitto versus Panzer Grenadier Angreifen. We saw a little bit of Angreifen's close air support last game, but apparently he's had enough of Oster for today. didn't experience a whole lot of success against DFS Crow's guard motor coordination, so he's switching it up, going with Overcommando West, and he will be against Ihitto's Soviets. We're going to see shock rifle, combined arms, and mechanized support against fortifications, Luftwaffe ground forces, and scavenge. So I think Angreifen will probably be going with his Ostwinds on this map. That's generally his strategy. I think, unless he's going to maybe be making use of tier 4, Panzer IVs, going to try and use some of the new features, but from what I've seen of him this patch, I think he's still going to be making heavy usage of scavenge. Especially on this map. Scavenge has pretty much always been king on this map. Luftwaffe, maybe to a lesser extent, anything that can pop infantry out of buildings. I think Scavenge being the cheaper option, plus having the very mobile Ostwind, is still a really attractive option. So that's my guess. But we'll see what happens. Two squads of conscripts making their way towards the middle. And the first engagement will be Stern Pioneers chasing combat engineers out away from the south.
We are ready to build it or blow it. Heads down, engineers! Enemy fire incoming! Target secure!
Volksgrenadiers, meanwhile, just grabbing some territory there in the north. He skipped past the cutoff points to take control of the fuel point and then circle towards the village. Probably because he wanted to try and get there kind of early and secure building control. He continues this chase in the south. He absolutely wants to force those combat engineers to retreat, apparently. But by pulling these Stern Pioneers all the way from the center down to the bottom of the map, and they will win this engagement, but by pulling them all the way down here, they're not going to be available for engagements in the middle, and the combat engineers probably engaged about as well as they could have against this squad, bringing them down to about half health, which is going to weaken them significantly against the more dangerous conscripts, which have already set up a green cover position right outside of Angreifen's base here. Volksgrenadiers in the building will present a bit of a problem to these conscripts, but they'll probably win this engagement with superior numbers. More Volksgrenadiers are on their way from the north, and the Stern Pioneers are going to start grabbing the cutoff here in the south. So Ihitto does not currently have a fuel point. He has no fuel coming in thanks to the efforts of the Stern Pios down here, and the conscripts have made no effort to take this one in the north. Conscripts have cut off the south fuel point, but Angreifen will still have the advantage for fuel points. He won't have the advantage for fuel income, though, ironically, since Ihitto just has so many strategic points under his control, and he'll basically have roughly equal fuel economy. Angreifen on plus 13, but with the Overcommando West fuel penalties, basically works out to be about the same.
Target secured! Volksgrenadier are on the line. Prepare for action. The command half-track has been converted to the headquarters building. Grenadiers under attack!
Volksgrenadiers on their way north start engaging against his combat engineers. These two squads setting up in green cover to engage against some conscripts in the building. Territory not really changing hands. Angreifen doing a lot of backcapping. It looks like Ihitto is just kind of struggling to keep up. Maybe even an overcommitment to the cutoff right here of his forces, causing him not to really have any territory on the flanks, and his combat engineers are not strong enough to win any side engagements without a flamethrower. This squad with the flamethrower upgraded will probably win that engagement.
We are taking losses! We are bleeding, comrade! That's the horizon! Get those cowboys!
Stern Pioneers sticking around in this engagement maybe a little bit too long, waiting way too long on this retreat. That squad could go down. That would be a very expensive loss. He did retreat them at the last second there, but conscripts finish the job. Stern Pioneers go down for no reason as he's monitoring engagements elsewhere on the map, including the tossing of a grenade right there. Now his opponent may be the one who's not paying attention to an engineering squad on a flank engagement. He probably assumed this engagement was won. He has all the time in the world to retreat this squad, but they will be wiped and hand a flamethrower over to the Volksgrenadier squad. Meanwhile, a conscript squad comes dangerously close to being wiped right there. Volksgrenadiers are jumping into this cover position, maybe trying to take a long shot, but no, those conscripts will get to safety. A Maxim has been fielded out of a tier 2 structure, meanwhile here in the middle. And there's been, I think, one wipe on both sides, plus some pretty heavily lethal engagements. After a 4 Volksgrenadier opening, plus a replacement Stern Pioneers, we will see a tier 3 structure going up in Angreifen's base. But no flak half-track. He's activated fuel transfer, which makes me think maybe he's going to rush tier 4 or something. Because either that or maybe get a quick light vehicle out. I think Angreifen does like Pumas, but I'm not really expecting one on this map. I guess what his opponent's doing, so I think he's probably just trying to get his fuel economy going a little stronger. Maybe so that later in the game he can afford Ostwinds, and maybe so that he can get a tier 4 up reasonably quickly. I'm not sure. Second truck is making its way onto the field now. Meanwhile, Ihitto, having gone tier 2, has about 97 fuel in the bank, so he can afford a tier 3 structure, and he'll be able to get out an M5 or a T70 or something like that if he wants to very soon.
This territory is ours.
But Angreifen continues to have pretty solid map control. He now holds both fuel points. Neither player holds a munitions point. The victory points have barely ticked at all. They both mostly are just struggling to vie for fuel on this map.
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies. This is our sector now. Ready! Infantry attacking!
Maybe he's tilting a little bit, Cruzy. He just lost to Captain Molo. Getting frustrated. Who knows? Conscripts moving up to vie for building control here in the center of the map. Conscripts will grab that building. This building is under a lot of fire, but with the stolen flamethrower taking up a position inside, they don't feel comfortable engaging at close range and will back off a little bit. Maxim taking up a position in the church. Plus, focus fire from that many conscripts will convince Angreifen to retreat back into his base. Got a tier 3, or a tier 2. Okay, he fuel transferred himself into a tier 2, into an infantry support gun. That's not what I was expecting. That is very much contrary to my expectations, but alright. Stern Pioneer squad here in the north will win that engagement, I think.
Support gun deployed. Crew ready for orders. Grenadiers operation. Send your orders.
I would say maybe it's not even him. Maybe it's like somebody just using his name, but I doubt that Major Onage's game would be at the top of the list. In all honesty, unless he's somehow gotten 100 times better at this game, which I highly doubt. Infantry support gun will start firing, and a flak half-track. Fuel transferred into tier 2 and then back into flak half-track. Kind of an interesting build. I wasn't expecting it. With this thing's cost reduction, it's better than before, I guess. I guess we'll see if it can pay for itself this game. That's always interesting to check out. 9 pop cap, 330 manpower for this thing's performance. Still seems steep. It's still worse than the Oster mortar and still more expensive than it in every way, but it does have that little bit of extra suppression.
Supply hub getter is ready for orders.
Maxim will get decrewed. Maybe. So close. Ooh, even with that huge blob and supporting flak half-track, Maxim gets away by a tiny sliver of health, and Angreifen will break out of his box once again. He will do some backcapping with the infantry support gun while his infantry take back control of the central village. And his flank control continues to be quite good. Conscripts spreading out to try and work the cutoffs. They'll be able to do so unopposed in the south unless a really lucky infantry support gun shot forces them to retreat. And the Stern Pioneer squad here in the north will be pushed back into the base as well.
Capture complete. We have secured the target. Standing by for anti-tank rockets.
It's actually kind of dangerous to keep that. Yeah, there they go. With that little health remaining, staying there under infantry support gun fire, asking for a wipe a little bit. Flamethrower squad even could have picked them up if they had been slightly better positioned. T-70 is on the field. There's tier 3 built by Ihitto, and it's already picked up a wipe and puts this flak half-track in extreme danger. A little bit of preparation for that T-70, but that Raketenwerfer is too late. So late. That's already going to cost him a full squad, plus push him completely off the battlefield. And a Raketenwerfer needs to get 2 consecutive shots off without the T-70 activating self-repair. Nails him on the ice. Ooh, plus flak half-track trying to sink it. There's the self-repair, but will it not be enough? The flak half-track actually did significant damage right there. That was a very overly aggressive maneuver by Ihitto. He was not expecting the Raketenwerfer to be positioned there, and it looked like he couldn't make up his mind about whether to retreat or try and circle strafe or what. And that T-70 gets cleaned up easily. I was expecting Angreifen to have a lot more trouble with that. Hi, Luke the Duke. How's it going?
Ready for action. Unit ready. Target captured. Quick defensive position established.
I think we might be looking at tier 4 here. Angreifen up to 6 CPs. Still 2 away from an Ostwind, so... And he has not picked his commander yet. And neither has Ihitto, actually. Which is interesting. 6 CPs in. Still got fuel transfer going. This looks very much like tier 4 is going to go up here in the middle. So I'm not sure if he's going to go for an Ostwind or if he's maybe going to utilize some tier 4 solutions instead. Soviet AT gun gets caught pretty out of position up here in the north by these Stern Pioneers. I don't know what it's doing. Looks like it might get cleared. Conscripts plus Flamethrower, however, will pressure the Stern Pioneer squad into retreating. Everything here in the south has been captured by some Volksgrenadiers, taking that territory uncontested. The infantry support gun has 1 kill, so not getting a whole lot of return on that investment, apparently. Demo charge going down here in the north. The map is split completely in half diagonally, which is unusual to see on Smoky Winter. Infantry support gun and a flak half-track need to try and clear some infantry and max him out of the central village. Volksgrenadiers have spotted the AT gun way out of position. I think that is going to get cleared this time if they chase that down, and with good vision of that AT gun and forcing it to move away, the flak half-track knows that it's safe to move up and start breaking up the infantry protecting here in the middle. So the Maxim and conscripts will all be forced to retreat. Raketenwerfer also setting up in the building to provide protection against further tier 3 units from Ihitto, but he has not fielded any. So we may be seeing him transition into tier 4 next. Volksgrenadiers will be forced into a retreat right there by that Flamethrower squad. And that's going to retreat in turn, possibly wanting to tech up. Or just afraid of what might be coming through the fog of war. Maxim does not get to safety this time. A big burst from that flak half-track will clear it, and Volksgrenadiers recover it.
Let's go!
Nice minesweeping here in the north. Clears up that demo charge. You can see that the longer minesweeper range on the Stern Pioneers. I know that's old news now, but it's a big deal. That was a good change. I don't think I've pointed that out on my stream yet, so I'm pointing it out now. Increased minesweeper range on those Stern Pioneers helps immensely. Conscripts bursting those Volksgrenadiers down hard, and they will be forced to retreat right there. Black half-track moves up into the road to force these conscripts away. We've got 2 AT guns now on the field, but they're not in position for that flag half-track. If we could get a full volley off, could one-shot. Could one-shot this. If it exposed itself for a little bit too long. He has not gone tier 4. Continues stockpiling fuel, of which he does not have that much. But he's not purchasing any further tier 3 units either. Oversold in production now. He's got a second Rakettenwerfer out, and tier 4 is up here in the road. Angreifen has a very healthy amount of territory and a strong defensive line set up in the center of the map. Pretty light push here in the north. Looks like it is going to fail. It didn't dedicate quite enough infantry to break up this defense, but anti-tank guns are on their way to try and punish the flak half-track should it reveal itself. Currently hiding just behind this building. Stern Pioneers moving across the snow will spot this AT gun in ambush camouflage. So that's shock rifle chosen by Ihitto. Ooh, that was close. 1 AT gunshot connects right there. Angreifen reacts just in time, getting the vehicle to safety. Meanwhile, a mortar has been fielded. Gets caught by some Volksgrenadiers defending the cutoff in green cover, but a Maxim on the flank will suppress them and probably force that retreat, while the mortar sets up here in the middle to start bombarding the stolen Maxim there in the center. This squad of conscripts also getting suppressed is forced away from the center, and a flamethrower squad forces these conscripts out of the building. The AT guns sense that they're not going to have enough supporting infantry to protect them here. I think a grenade toss cleared that mortar? Yes, this squad tossed a grenade, cleared the mortar, and got around the hedge away from that Maxim, so they're not forced to retreat yet. Some big losses being inflicted here by Angreifen. And his Obersoldaten are on the field, not upgraded with an LMG, but they'll probably be able to win that engagement if they don't get too close. And shock troops here have been fielded by Ihitto to try and win engagements against Angreifen's infantry, force him into a retreat, and recover team weapon control. Combat engineers will be forced to retreat there in the south. Obersoldaten didn't even take a scratch, so they will be able to pick up some of these territory points. Infantry support gun is up to a whopping 3 kills, so it looks like it's about as good as it ever was, but for a lower price tag. Volksgrenadiers will not be able to hold the line in this building for much longer, especially with shock troops trying to force them out. AT guns make their way into the center to protect against this flak half-track if it should try and defend against this push. But a Pack 43 has actually been constructed here in the back to protect against any vehicles that Ihitto may have on their way, most importantly the KV-8 and IS-2. Once he saw ambush camouflage and shock troops, he knows that those are going to be hitting the field eventually. So probably no tier 4 for Ihitto this game. If he were to bring in a KVA right now, it would pose a pretty significant threat, but with 2 Rakettenwerfers, plus a Pack 43, plus maybe a little bit of Panzerschreck support, that KV-8 would have to pull off some pretty miraculous maneuvers, maybe pick up wipes on the flanks of the map, and that's probably what Ihitto is going to be trying to do, because he has fielded one that's making its way towards the center now. This push by infantry alone was clearly not enough. The stolen Maxim plus other defending units were a little bit too much for Ihitto to crack right there. KV-8 spots some slightly overextended infantry, but if it gives chase right into the right into the middle, it will be highly exposed to this Pack 43. I don't think Ihitto realizes this is on the field, but he's also not overcommitting with that tank, so he's going to try and play cautious with that thing and support it with some fresh infantry moving up out of his base. Obersoldaten's still not upgraded with an LMG, but they're performing pretty well. They have not taken a loss yet, but they've inflicted 5 losses on various combat engineering and conscript squads. So they're off to a very promising start. Black half-track is trying to destroy some hedges, I think, here in the middle. The Obersoldaten are about to be exposed to a huge push by the KV-8 plus supporting infantry. Pack 43 will need to rotate to face this threat as it moves around this flank. I think Angreifen just lost vision of it, though. Will continue circling around through the south. If he spots this, ooh, nailed it right through the gap right there. That means Ihitto is now aware of its existence and will probably, god damn, he needs to be very careful. Attack ground could kill this thing. But Angreifen does not take the shot and the KV-8 will get to safety, but he was clearly not able to inflict any damage whatsoever with it, because of those 2 miracle shots right through the gap.
Artillery batteries are armed and ready to fire.
Shock troops at least managed to secure a fuel point here in the south briefly, but it's still cut off, and Ihitto is not making much progress anywhere important on the map. At least he's recovered the north victory point and munitions. But this Oberkommando West defense here in the middle is proving extremely difficult for him to crack, and that Pack 43 is not going to help. He's stockpiled enough munitions that he can drop incendiary artillery twice if he finds a big opportunity to inflict some serious harm. With that ability, that might open up a little bit of room for him to recover this game. Ooh, wow, that flame burst. That flame burst. So many dead conscripts right there. And they'll all be forced to retreat, significantly weakening Ihitto's push here in the center. And it looks like it's just a total standstill. Mortar exposes itself to a little bit of harm right there. Of course, his infantry have to backpedal away from the KV-8, try and stay safely inside of the Pack 43's range. Maxim forces a retreat from these Sturm Pioneers. The placement, by the way, of Angreifen's Tier 2 means that he can't get a forward retreat point, and all of his retreats will be just as expensive as his opponents. And that tends to be a pretty critical aspect of a hard Oberkommando West defense. Fortifications doctrine play, which does mean that I was wrong about scavenge being picked this game, clearly. But the benefits of the Pack 43 definitely paying off big time, whereas he does not have the harassment power of Jaegers popping out of buildings, for example. Even though he is floating quite a bit of manpower. Floating manpower even with a Pack 43 on the field. And 80 pop cap worth of units. I'm actually surprised that Ihitto has not made any further attempts to harass in the north at all, which allows Angreifen to fully commit to his defense in the center and make it that much more difficult to break through. Ooh. Folks, Grenadiers will be forced to retreat again here from the middle of this game. It's just not going anywhere. Just smashing blob into blob in the middle. Hoping for lucky indirect fire shots, I guess. Angreifen, I don't know what he might be working towards as far as tech. Oh, a King Tiger. Okay, that's what he's working towards. That makes sense. He actually, fuel-wise, he could have afforded a King Tiger a long time ago. He's had the fuel. He's got 145 fuel in the bank after spending to buy this unit. But manpower, not so much. He's going to have a Pack 43 and a King Tiger out. The only solution Ihitto has to that is 1 KV-8 and 2 AT guns. Those seem like pretty insurmountable odds unless he's able to take that KT out on the ice or something.
We're back to combat strength.
Finally, Ihitto will move to harass in the north. I think he should have done this a while ago so he could maybe find opportunities to pick up wipes with the KV-8. There go those two squads. As soon as they see the KV-8, they know that's not going to happen. This fuel will fall into Ihitto's control. Not soon enough to even slow down this King Tiger, though, clearly. Making its way onto the field, and that is a perfect 100 of 100 pop cap for Angreifen, which does mean he can't even reinforce his infantry squads, but this King Tiger has a very decent chance of just solidifying the game. It's kind of fumbling a little bit there in the middle. For AT gun protection, one set up here in the south on the ice, another one set up here in the central road. The King Tiger is going to dive straight through the middle here, finding a bit of a weak spot in Ihitto's line, and start breaking up infantry formations. Ihitto does have a much more solid hold on the map, holding both flanks as far as strategic points. That squad of infantry, forced to make a quick retreat, gets away. Just a tiny bit of health remaining. Flamethrower falling low in return, also has to get out of there. The King Tiger working on infantry in the middle is up to 3 kills, working on team weapons, but it's going to pull back to safety away from approaching AT guns. And meanwhile, in the north, the KV-8 wipes the Oversoldat, not being monitored carefully enough, and down they go. Folks Grenadiers will also be forced to retreat from the general area. KV-8 doing a good job as a counter-harassment unit. Maxim moves up into the middle, immediately suppressing those shock troops and starting to work on the fuel point, and the King Tiger will re-emerge to try and break up these infantry formations further. The infantry support gun doing a pretty decent job of taking out the AT gun, almost clearing it. King Tiger trying to help. Doesn't quite finish the job though, and the King Tiger under fire from both of these AT guns does not feel comfortable sticking around in that engagement. Will try and pull back to safety. 15 kills now on the infantry support gun, so it actually has performed pretty okay over the course of this game. This mortar's only got 5 by comparison, and another mortar has been fielded. 2 mortars now for Ihitto. Stolen Maxim gets cleared in that overextension attempt to take control of the south fuel, and now both fuel points are in Ihitto's control. His mortars clear out the infantry support gun and start putting pressure on these buildings with their head morphers inside. If they can get close enough to start pressuring the Tier 4 structure or the Pack 43, Angreifen will be forced to react and try and get those cleared out. And double mortar is probably a good call against a really tough Over Commando West Fortifications turtle shell.
Enemy movement! On the flank! Send your orders!
And there's the IS-2 finally. Ihitto managed just to scrabble enough fuel together to bring an IS-2 onto the field. He's going to use that for some counter harassment there in the north. Misses his first shot. It's kind of a cool skin. I haven't seen that one. It's like got snowflakes on it, or trees or something. I don't know. Looks like another Maxim got cleared here in the middle. Maybe, I think that was an infantry support gun shot. Huge blob making its way straight down the center, and they just walked straight into a Maxim. They're all getting suppressed, and infantry support gun fire coming in on them. It's gonna stifle this push a little bit, but they'll probably be able to force that Maxim to retreat. Infantry support gun bleeding them hard as they just swarm into the center of the map. And the KV-8 cannot expose itself too closely to the PaK-43. It does need to be careful. It's just dancing right on the edge of its range. Stolen Maxim will get cleared right there. The King Tiger is rotated north to protect in this area. Volksgrenadiers will move to take control of territory here. Try and get the clock to continue ticking against Ihitto. He's only got 200 points remaining. Not a lot of time left to make a dramatic comeback. IS-2 versus King Tiger here in the middle with AT gun support. The King Tiger is caught a little out of position and needs to pull itself back to safety. It's probably not in any serious danger, but it will be forced back for some repairs. Stern Pioneers on their way to do just that. With the PaK-43 zone of protection, Ihitto doesn't really have any room to get aggressive and hunt that thing down. Despite Angreifen being in a very solid lead, the game has dragged on long enough that both players are now at 100 of 100 pop cap, and any resource load Angreifen has means he should probably try and trade a little bit more aggressively. Maybe just with infantry. If he can. But obviously he doesn't want to just throw away vetted units for no reason. He doesn't have a whole lot of pop cap to work with a PaK-43 and a King Tiger on the field. Speaking of which, the PaK-43 just got cleared by an incendiary artillery strike, so that may open up an opportunity for Ihitto to make a big push here. He's going to lead the charge with these infantry, some of which will get caught up on the Tier 4 structure here. But the IS-2 is going in hard from the center. KV-8 is going to try and move in around on this flank, and this could be a very big and decisive engagement. Flak half-track is not available to support right now, and it will get caught by the KV-8, sort of, I guess. PaK-43 has been recruited by Stern Pioneers, and the King Tiger will move up to engage the IS-2. But it looks like it's losing the engagement thanks to the supporting AT gun behind the church. KV-8 is going to try and work on the Tier 4 structure here, and the Flak half-track is going to try and threaten the conscript squad, making its way very deep around that flank. King Tiger takes engine damage somehow. I don't even know how that happened, and the IS-2 plus AT gun on the flank will destroy it, and it looks like Angreifen's defense is cracking. Another incendiary artillery strike on the PaK-43 to clear it out again, and the IS-2 will pull back to safety as the PaK-43 is cleared. The KV, or something, main gun destroyed crit from that last Mosin shot. And that conscript squad will get away to safety. Flak half-track has to pull back for repairs. Grenade toss right there. Ooh, but it's not enough. They dodge, and a flamethrower threatens to wipe the squad. Oh, and they drop the Panzerschreck. And the flamethrower will retreat out of that engagement after picking up a Volksgrenadier squad, and I cannot believe how well that engagement went for Ihitto, leaving Angreifen with nothing. 2 Volksgrenadier squads, some Stern Pioneers, his infantry support gun, the Tier 4 structure, and the Flak half-track are all that's left, reduced to 37 pop cap in that engagement. Thanks to some pretty impressive, well-executed push there by Ihitto, which gives him a chance to turn this game back in his favor. Of course, Angreifen had so much resource float in the bank. He's going to be able to afford another King Tiger, plus probably some supporting infantry for it. So I don't think the game's over, but it's definitely going to swing back in Ihitto's favor. Angreifen clearly has a lot of victory points to work with, though. I think any attempt to repair this Tier 4 structure may result in the loss of his Stern Pioneer squad unless he can find a way to get those mortars to retreat. Trying to bombard them with the infantry support gun might slow down their rate of fire or something like that, or make them less accurate. I don't know. I don't know how suppression affects mortars. Looks like it's helping. Wow, this is up to 13 kills after being cleared. It was at 15, now it's back up to 13. That means it's almost 30 kills in a 35-minute game. That's actually pretty good. I think I may have been selling it a little bit short. He's gotten some good shots off, in part due to Ihitto clumping a couple times. Pretty heavy usage of team weapons, giving that infantry support gun a lot of opportunities. And it does have a pretty straight and clear shot where it's currently positioned. So the Pak-43 has been recrewed and possibly repaired if it was damaged up to full HP, full health in all respects. Stern Pioneers recover, or fully repair the Tier 4 structure. Flag half-track also ready for the next push. AT gun misses its shot. Conscript's going down fast. Now we'll be forced back for repairs after an AT gun shot. Here comes the fresh King Tiger as well, making its way towards the center, and the IS-2 is somewhere. There it is, still receiving repairs in the back. Wow, that has taken quite a while for him to repair that, so they'll both have a heavy tank ready for the next engagement. The clock is ticking against Angreifen slowly, but clearly he has not lost total control of this game despite being in a very bad situation. Just a few minutes ago, he's made his way back from 37 pop cap to 87 pop cap in just a few minutes, which just goes to show how much resources he had floating in the bank to replace losses if the game did go sideways a little bit. Incendiary artillery clears the Pak-43 again, but the King Tiger makes its way towards the center just in time to convince all infantry to retreat. Threatens to wipe a couple squads. There's the freshly repaired IS-2 starting to vet itself up a little bit. It will be vetted soon if it can just get some shots to penetrate. Takes 2 shots on the King Tiger, neither of which connects. 3 shots now, all bouncing that King Tiger, holding strong. Will convince the IS-2 to pull back, especially with Pak-43 support there in the back. 2 shots connecting with that IS-2 are going to force that off the field for repairs for a long time. Rather than disengaging, he sends it down towards the south. It takes a big hit on its rear armor from max range from the Pak-43, and it may be in serious danger if the King Tiger can get in range. Ooh, it's floundering on the ice a little bit. King Tiger does manage to close the gap. Not quite. IS-2 just has a little more speed or something. But it's so cornered, it's stuck and trapped down here on the south of the map. Of course, the King Tiger cannot risk crossing the ice. If the IS-2 were to get the first shot off, it might kill it. So the King Tiger will give up the chase, and it looks like the IS-2 will make a miracle escape. Hi, Big Black Tar. How's it going?
Grenadier, ready for action. Back up to full force. 43, ready. Crew, ready. King Tiger, ready.
Things have quieted down a little bit. The clock completely stopped. Infantry support gun moving up to capture here in the middle. The black half track is up to 35 kills. That's doing quite well. Infantry support gun probably up to around roughly the same total amount over the course of the game. I'm not 100% sure. King Tiger breaks up a mortar. Eats an AT gun shot. IS-2 is on its way to try and put... Ooh, needs to be careful though. Don't do that. It's at low health and partially parked on the ice. There it goes, pulling back. King Tiger also going to pull back for some light repairs. Looks like Angreifen has swung back into the lead. He's now got a pop cap and resource lead. A manpower lead. Ihitto has definitely got the fuel for another IS-2 though. Second IS-2 on the field. I don't know, might help. Yeah, I did get a new microphone tie rope. That happened. I hope it sounds alright. I think I might be a little quiet, but I don't know. I'm still in the process of tweaking it and getting all the settings just right. It takes a few streams. Oh yeah, you can't get a second IS-2. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I'm bad. I'm bad. Patch changes and stuff. I don't know why I said that. It's a habit. It's a habit. I've cast so many games where that's what you do. I've cast so many of that game. Come on, guys. Cut me some slack. Black half-track working on some infantry here on the north fuel point. The IS-2 catches it out of position. Does not sink into the ice, though. That is a very lucky escape. Gets away with just a little tiny bit of health. And that will continue to be a nuisance for Ihitto to have to deal with. Up to 36 kills now. AT gun is set up for this push by the King Tiger. Will be forced back for repairs again. Not going to be much of an opportunity there. He's probably just trying to vet it up a little bit. It's got 18 kills plus several tank engagements, and it still hasn't even vet one. Takes a long time to vet up one of these things. It's now a 42-minute game as he slowly bleeds his opponent's VPs out. 83 left for Ihitto, who is struggling a little bit to recover control of this game. Got a stolen Panzerstrecken going into tier 4 now with 220 fuel in the bank. Maybe he could break up his opponent's defenses with a Katyusha.
Field reports indicates the enemy is left with only 75 points.
Couple of infantry making their way towards the center. He's doing a light harassment attempt here in the south. He could try and send a squad straight for the south VP, but he's probably afraid of getting wiped if he overextends too deep. Pretty decent chance of the King Tiger wiping this squad. Even just doing a light poke on the fuel point. There's that retreat, already dangerously close to being wiped. If he were to go straight for the VP way down there in the south, that squad may not make it home. Su-85 in production. He's going to go with the tank destroyer. Not worried too much about Ihitto's team weapons and defenses in the middle. He wants something with a little bit more punch to try and get rid of that KT. With a lot of the obstructions destroyed on this map, there's going to be quite a bit of room actually for that Su-85 to line up shots. This is now just a big open field here in the middle. Su-85 has a pretty decent chance of landing shots. He's going to have to be careful with it, and he's going to have to execute with it quickly. Doesn't have a whole lot of time left. Almost all of his forces dedicated to his defense of the North VP to make sure that his Su-85 hits the field and gives him just enough time to try and make a decisive maneuver and turn this game back in his favor. Angreifen, meanwhile, up to 900 manpower, 200 fuel, plus being pop-capped. He has a lot of resources at his disposal to handle whatever Ihitto might throw at him. He's just going to play out the rest of this game slow and steady.
Check equipment. Confirm mine detector is working. Push your attack. They are down to 50 points. Check your flanks when in contact. Double check batteries on that mine detector. AP mines down.
All quiet, nothing happening at all. Just waiting for the IS-2 to be fully repaired, I guess. King Tiger could use a little bit of repairs. Some mines going down here in the road. And it looks like Ihitto's finally going to make his big push. Leading the charge with 3 squads of conscripts. Kind of just blobbing a little bit, though. He will catch those Sturm Pioneers out of position right as they're jumping inside of that shed. Infantry support gun shot suppresses one of the squads as they advance. King Tiger will get spotted by something. The Su-85 plus AT gun plus IS-2 are going to try and punch through. Pac-43 has rotated to protect against this push, although it's not quite facing the right direction. Stern Pioneers in the building will be destroyed as the building collapses. MG-34 is not quite set up for this flank, and conscripts are charging in straight for the Pac-43. Incendiary artillery dropped on the weapon, and the flanked machine gun gets cleared. Infantry support gun is left vulnerable, and the King Tiger has already been brought down to half. This push by Ihitto could turn the game back in his favor. He doesn't have a lot of time. Infantry charging into the middle will stop the clock at 28 VPs remaining, but the IS-2 has been destroyed by something. I don't even know. It had that Raketenwerfer, I think, plus KT fire. And the Su-85 has a damaged engine. As it tries to advance, it will not be able to catch up with the KT. But the Pac-43's been stolen, and it's lining up a shot. Ooh, and it's destroyed entirely by a King Tiger round. He was not able to destroy the King Tiger, but the destruction of that Pac-43 is still a nice pickup. I don't know if it will be enough. Conscript Squad gets wiped by a supporting flag half-track here on the ice. And these charging infantry managed to clear out an AT gun, and the damaged engine Su-85 may not be able to escape. The KV-8 moving in from the south also gets caught by a Raketenwerfer protecting the middle, and it looks like Ihitto's charge this time will fail. Angreifen manages to weather the storm without even spending any of his floating resources. And Ihitto knows that those losses are too expensive for him to bear, and that's going to cost him the game. So Angreifen's defense will hold. Good game. Axis wins.